to the Sorry You're in My Seat podcast. My name is Aaron. I'm your host for this week, and I'm with my good buddies James.
Hello.
And Sam.
Hello.
How we doing, guys?
I'm splendid. Yourself?
I'm okay. We'll get to that in a moment. Sam?
Oh dear. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I've had a good day.
Good day. You've been off?
I have been off with my child, and I watched the end of The Incredibles because I missed it the other day.
Good film.
What a film.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
Were you behind?
I know. I've not seen the new one yet.
Quickly, I've seen the Incredibles 2 after Aaron gave us a quick load out. Very good film.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I enjoyed
What
it.
have you done today, James, by the way?
I've just been house hunting.
Yeah?
That's really, really boring.
Is that where you shoot houses?
Yes.
Cool. Did you get any?
in the wild.
Any in the bag?
Although, to be fair, some of the houses in some of the streets I've had to look at, I imagine a gun license is needed. So, just to survive.
Bit of day off as well then.
Yep.
Lovely stuff.
So, Aaron, what did you do today?
Now, keen listeners will remember in episode 2 of the podcast, there was a run-in that I had with the top guy at my office.
Oh, this is my favourite time.
Well, my
time.
memory's not great. You high-fived him, then spilt water over it.
No, I fist bumped him.
Fist bumped
Much
him.
worse
A lot
than
worse,
high five.
yes.
And then put milk on him.
Yeah.
Oh, milk is even worse.
During a heat wave.
Oh, that was it, yes.
After a really tense time in the boardroom, fist bumped the chief clinician of Lincolnshire on my way out, spilt some milk. Not a good day, essentially.
Aaron, what happened today?
I haven't seen him since, and I've been keeping my head down and kind of keeping busy. And I like to look after myself. I like to eat well and exercise. All right, I drink maybe 1 too many beers a week, but I do like to look after myself. I thought I'll have a soup for lunch today.
Okay.
No,
I don't even know the story, but I can see where it's going.
Oh, no. It's,
okay.
Oh, no. You'd think I spilt it. No. I don't waste food. I'm in the kitchen. It's a bit after everyone else. I like to let everyone else have a lunch. I break away for a bit.
So where are you? You're in the office now?
I'm in the main office, yeah. And I go in. Now, the office is notorious for you can never find a fork, a spoon, or anything you need to eat or to make a tea with or to do anything with. So I go in there trying to find a bowl, right? For my soup.
What soup was it?
It's tomato soup. Kept it plain, kept it simple.
Any bread with it? Or?
Took some bread with me, took a slice of cake that I had left over, and a banana.
Beautiful. Nice.
Nice.
Lots of nutrition, a little bit of sweet in there as well. I look through all the cupboards, and I know what I bring out the cupboard is not a bowl. I'm pointing it out there right now. I knew it wasn't a bowl.
Wasn't a soup, was it?
Don't keep guessing, because it gets worse. I knew it wasn't a bowl, what I brought out, but there was nothing else that would get in the microwave which would heat my soup up, because I can't put the tin in the microwave because it'll blow up. So, before I'm explaining myself already, I put my soup in the vessel. Let's just call it that for now.
The vessel, okay.
Put it in the microwave, 2.5 minutes, comes out, piping hot, brilliant, sit down at the table. And then
Did you stir halfway through?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And it did the usual soup thing. It was kind of hot in one area, not hot in the other. Gave it a stir. I've played this game before. I know how to do a soup.
Yeah, I know, mate.
Put it
My
back
first
in.
rodeo.
Sit down to eat my soup. And in he comes, the guy I haven't seen for a few weeks since I fist bumped him. And I will recreate the exact thing he said to me as he walked in, including the sigh of desperation that he put in there as well.
Right.
So he walked in, got my name wrong as well. This is what he did. Come in. He walks in the room, he's like, Aaron? Why are you eating out of a dog bowl? Nah,
No.
yeah,
Really?
I knew. But my question was,
This is the reason you don't tell these stories before the podcast. Just for that laugh.
Where do you work?
Exactly. Why? There was no need for there to be a dog bowl at work. And I have no idea why I got there, and I was so mad. I finished my soup and I went back into my little area of the office.
So you finished the soup.
God, yeah, don't waste food. I went back into the office and I was like, interesting fact, ladies, because everyone in my office is a female. I was like, interesting fact, ladies, not one bowl, but a dog bowl. And then one of them pipes up, oh yeah, Jane brought that in for me last year and I never took it. I was like, I've just used it. Thanks for that. Surprise for the cleaner in the morning when they find that in the dishwasher, I'm going to say. So that's been my day.
Mate.
So the bloke that you fist bumped spilled milk on. Now I've seen you eating. Did he know it was soup, or did he just assume you were eating dog food?
I mean, he had the high ground, so he could have looked down and seen what was in it. But Yeah, that happened today.
Aaron,
So,
that is amazing.
which is why when I said, I'll be around a little bit earlier, then I thought, no, I need to lay down for a bit. I need to just take in the day.
I cannot stress this enough for the listeners. Aaron does not tell us these stories beforehand, purely for James's reaction.
You know, that was it. I can't do anything like that.
Well, on with the show, boys.
Yeah.
So this is our weekly film and movie podcast where we're going to talk about some films that we reckon you should check out, and we're also going to guide you away from the naughty films that are out there. The ones that you should avoid, the dangerous ones that are bad for your eyes and souls.
I've seen them all.
Yes. We will talk a couple of films. I've got a bit of a game to play today, which the boys don't know about. We'll throw that in at some point. And James has his hot topic of the week to talk about at some point as well.
Yes.
Great.
Topic of the week.
Actually, it's funny that you should mention that we're guiding people. Something I want to bring up. We are a podcast that does not put anyone down. We're a celebration of all movies. Some we don't agree with, some we love. And I think we don't have a rating system because we don't class ourselves as critics or anything like that. And why would we be? We've just three friends who enjoy talking about movies.
There is a whole episode on why the star rating system is pointless.
Yeah.
We should do that at some point. Say giving a movie 5 stars is ridiculous. The idea that you can do that. Sorry.
No, I was going to say there's some, I remember in Empire Magazine. Do you remember Ang Lee's Hulk?
Yeah.
Empire Magazine gave it 5 stars.
Well, that's it, because you set the bar then, and every film thereafter has to be set to that 5-star standard.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was. I mean, I've seen that film.
So glad you said Ang Lee. Was that episode 2 where you called him Liang?
I don't know, but there was...
I never did that, did I?
Yes, you did. Go back and listen.
I've called John Candy John Goodman. Oh, no, that's like the big one. It's Andy McDowell with Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
That's big one. So I think to give people guidance on what we are showing them with films, we should show them a map.
Yeah.
Sam, Aaron, myself, we are guides. We're hosts. We're Sherpas. We're surveying the land of movies.
I like the name Sherpa.
We're Sherpas for ticket holders and moviegoers.
A map to the stars.
Or is it the road, not bacon?
I like this already. I'm vegetarian though, so let's just...
I know, but it's not food bacon. It's the one and only. It's the Kevin Bacon. Very standard actor. Ups, downs, valleys. He's great. He's got it all. So in the land of bacon, the road, not bacon, in the north, we've got the peaks, the mountains, the elite. The highest mountain, the highest peak. It's the Peak of Shannon. Michael Shannon.
Mark Shannon.
It's the guardian of the top. Thank you.
Arguably the finest actor at the moment.
I would say he is this generation's delightfulness.
Just impeccable in every
Michael Shannon is this generation's Michael Shannon.
Yes.
He's going to be next generation's Michael Shannon as well.
He will be.
So underrated is scary. I mean, some of the films, what he's mostly known for is Man of Steel, which is downside, but he played a very good General Zod. I quite liked him as a bad guy.
He did play a good Lois Lane, didn't he?
He
Am I
was
thinking of the wrong
fantastic.
person?
Yes.
No, not at all.
I can't
Not
even
at all.
joke about Michael Shannon. I do apologise. I love you, Michael Shannon.
Lois Lane was Amy Adams for what it's worth, and I also think she's amazing.
Yeah, I know you do, mate.
Well, it's funny you should mention Amy Adams.
Well, just on Mark Shannon, Shape of Water, amazing
Shape of Water.
film.
Well, actually, another one I was going to point out is a film that we were raving about, you and myself, Nocturnal Animals.
Yeah.
And he steals it. I believe that might be the year, I could be wrong, that he came up against J.K. Simmons for Whiplash.
No, this
was it
this
a year
was
after?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Then there's really, I don't know why he didn't win, because he was sensational in that supporting role. And I don't know if you two have seen it, Revolutionary Road. It's a film, it's primarily about Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet.
Yep.
But he's stealing that film. The only thing you'll remember after that is a Sam Mendes film, isn't it?
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, but he is so perfectly brilliant. He steals that show. And bear in mind, this is Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet in their reuniting since Titanic.
Yeah.
Fantastic film. Cannot rave about that film enough. We'll get on to that another time.
So that's the north.
That's the north.
The north
That
of
is the
Bacon.
full north. The northest north you can get to.
Is that where the wall is?
Yes,
Right.
to protect us from Scottish films.
All right, Chips.
Oh, wicked. I forgot to mention him. Well done.
So that's where the perfectionists go.
Yes.
So we'll lead you there on the road, not bacon. That's where we'll take you for the perfectionists. To the east, we've got the calming lakes and rivers of the Adams. Amy Adams.
Oh, thank you for putting her in.
Exactly. So Amy
You wanted
Adams.
this so bad, didn't you?
I've literally just watched Sharp Objects and I'm blown away by that woman's performance.
It's a TV series, isn't it?
Yeah. I know we're talking about the big screen, but,
Well, that's the thing with the tiny screen.
Yeah.
The thing with the small screen now is it's the lead into the big screen and out. You can do so much more with the small screen.
Oh, and
let's be honest, this won't be the first time we talk about the small screen.
Completely not. No, and this links into why this is needed more than anything, because Amy Adams last year was nominated for 2 Oscars in the same category, leading female. So she had twice the likelihood of winning,
and she didn't get it.
And she didn't get it. She was in there for Nocturnal Animals
and Arrival. I loved Arrival so much.
Both of them films, either of those films should have got the Oscar for her. The problem is when it comes down to the Academy, she split the votes. So half of the voters would have voted for Nocturnal Animals, half could have voted for Arrival, and then it could have just took that one extra person to vote for the third person who then got the Oscar. You actually, from that, it's shown that you're less likely to win if you're nominated twice in that category. Because you need to get the majority.
Yeah, of course.
It's perfect. If I had to point though, I think Arrival, out of those two.
Yeah,
Then again, Nocturnal Animals. But again, Jake Gyllenhaal, how many cracking films does he need to do? Prisoners, which himself and the man who plays Logan, damn it, I forgot his name.
Hugh Jackman,
thank you.
Yeah.
Sensational in that film.
Yeah, and don't start me on Jake Gyllenhaal for Nightcrawler, which he wasn't even recognised for leading actor.
That's the biggest travesty.
I think he was recognised for Golden Globe and the BAFTA, but he wasn't even in the short runnings for the Oscar, which is disgusting.
It is disgusting.
So even more reason why we need this, James.
We do need this. This is a guide. Like I say, this isn't anything bad.
Do you think the Oscars will start using
the Road Not Bacon?
Road Not Bacon. They better do. If I've got out to do with it.
Yeah, cool.
I'll call them tomorrow.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, we'll have a word. Right. To the west, we've got the sandy dunes. Desolate. Horrific. However, you do come across an oasis occasionally. It's the desert of Cage. It's wild. It's untamed. It's Nicolas Cage's area. It's his arena.
Oh, my days.
I like that. I imagine that you're out there and you are hallucinating and tripping.
Exactly. And that's where, not everyone survives the desert. But Nicolas Cage came out reborn.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Do you think Nicolas Cage would have been better in Crank?
I think Crank would have made more sense if Nicolas Cage was in it.
Because that's the sort of film you'd bang in there, wouldn't you?
Nicolas Cage, though, can do a normal film that on paper looks normal and turn it weird.
Yeah, definitely.
There are some things. There are some films like that. He's actually a pretty good actor.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. Yeah,
but it's one of it is now. He's like a meme and he shows up everywhere. And he's doing these awful films. But
I think he plays up to his meme now.
No, so do I.
I think he loves it.
So do I. I actually quite like Nicolas Cage.
I mean, as a bloke. Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to say it, Jake Gyllenhaal's not got an Oscar. Nicolas Cage has.
Yeah,
and what did he get an Oscar for?
Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But he's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, isn't he?
He is. And he also married Elvis Presley's daughter.
Yes.
Huge Elvis Presley fan.
And if you have YouTube, look at him reciting Edgar Allan Poe's, which one is it, about the floorboards?
The Telltale Heart.
Yeah. If you get a chance, it goes from slightly crazy to batshit crazy in 10 minutes. It's brilliant. He did it at the
Remind me when we finish this, I'll watch it.
He did it last year at Rage Cage. So in America, they do a festival every year, 3-day festival of Nicolas Cage films. And in its third year, Nicolas Cage showed up. And to show his thanks, he did this reading. And he's like, this is what I used to kind of get into character and when I need to go to that, that Nicolas Cage level. And it's brilliant.
I like how it's called the Nicolas Cage level.
I was going to say, I like to think he refers to it as his own level.
Yeah.
Well, he's got his own road now.
I like what you're saying there. He's a bit dangerous. He's like the Skeleton Coast. Some people live out there, some people die out there.
Exactly.
It's a very...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But good things can happen.
Okay, so we've got
Michael
the north, Shannon.
The north with Michael Shannon is perfection. On the east, we've got the calming, realistic, good, solid foundations with Amy Adams.
Yep.
And on the west, you've got the rebellious Nicolas Cage.
And Bacon's in the middle.
And Bacon's in the middle, yep.
So, James.
Yeah?
What about the south where the sun doesn't shine?
Whoa. Sam, you can never go there.
Why?
Because that's the elephant graveyard.
Is there actually an elephant down there?
There is many things down there that only the unfortunate see.
There's 2 lions and a toucan down there.
Sam's hole is kept in the elephant graveyard.
Oh, okay.
And it's guarded.
It is guarded.
It's guarded by the person that we can't put in there because hell spat him out. He was so bad.
He was spat out of my hole.
It was Adam Sandler.
Oh, God. Adam Sandler.
Just think he could be in my hole.
He could
be in my hole. I don't even know what's in my hole.
He is Jack and Jill. We put him in there.
No. Adam Sandler's in my hole. That's not even the right book.
For first time listeners, Sam's Hole is a place where we put films that don't come back from. It's a dangerous place.
I shouldn't have mentioned that film.
Now you mentioned it. Get out, James.
Yeah, Sam's Hole is a dangerous place.
You're lucky you spoke about Michael Shannon today.
So this is down south. This is where the sun doesn't
shine. So that's where the risky travellers will go because they'll say they think they know better. They won't. It's the place of lazy writing, poor acting, poor choices. It's not a good place. But again, I'd like to point out there are some gems in there. His earlier stuff, The Wedding Singer. I think that's about it. I think I've run out. Punch Drunk Love. Doesn't someone at this table like that? Rain Over Me?
Rain Over
Me, yeah.
Rain
but
Over
I
Me.
wouldn't put that down there. I'd put that more up towards Bacon.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, that's what I mean. You wouldn't
Yeah.
put that in there. Well, you'd put... So this, like I say, it's not a rating system. It's a map.
It's more, where would you plot your film on this
exactly
diagram?
So we're not telling you a film's bad because it's in the Oasis. We're just telling you can expect a wild, crazy, Nicolas Cage drug-fueled rave.
Yeah, because that could make sense to this. So for me, someone like Jim Carrey would fall somewhere on the Nicolas Cage side of things down towards Adam Sandler. He does the zany stuff, and he goes a bit out there.
Southwest,
but he does churn out some
you
pretty
would say he's
decent
walking
films.
from the south to the west. And sometimes he has to come back.
I tell you what, he's no, I know what you mean, but then again, Jim Carrey's one of these people that when he puts on a serious face, he can quite go north.
yeah.
I mean, Truman Show.
Yeah.
And Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Film.
Yeah.
Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon,
Yeah, it's a great film.
But then what about when you get someone like Daniel Day-Lewis, who is pretty much untouchable?
I think he's got right. So my problem with Daniel Day-Lewis is, actually, I don't have a problem with him. He would be north, is what you're thinking, but I don't think he has enough about him to truly beat Shannon. So I'm thinking northeast.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I was just going to say he's got the calming reassurance of Amy Adams. Doesn't have enough to push on the Shannon.
But Shannon would send his minions down with some water for him.
Exactly.
Say,
Shannon. Here's the thing about Shannon. Shannon doesn't want to be at the peak. He's been chosen by fate. It's his job to look after us.
He's been chosen by Bacon.
He's been chosen.
This
by
metaphor
Bacon.
is gone places. But I sit in the 2 o'clock corner, that northeast corner. There's the Aaron pocket of film.
Yeah,
that's what I want to
say.
see.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is going to be perfect for you there.
Sometimes northwest. Just one out.
South. I'm south.
You're a Southie.
I'm back down in the middle of Bacon.
I am a southerner.
I am the road, not Bacon.
So we need to get this drawn up so people can see it and people can start to understand.
We'll make a poster, and the wall I'm staring at in this room, we should put a big poster of the wall, the road,
not Bacon.
Road, not
on
Bacon.
that wall.
Actually,
and we could just bang some films on there.
Aspiring artists out there, why don't you show us your artwork? See what you can do with it.
Yeah.
If we know anyone who knows, to be honest, actually, this is a good call out now. If you listen to this podcast and you are a creative individual, if you design or if you want to be involved in any way, do hook us up because we would love to hear from you and to help us out, to help us grow. It'd be great to have some people reach out to us.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff we'd like to work on that we don't work on purely just because
I can't draw.
Well, we know plenty of creative people. But
individuals, we do.
I would very much like it to be someone who is a fan of the show and generally listen because they want to listen. And I'd rather use people like that than someone who's never listened because they don't quite get where we are with stuff.
Exactly.
The Road, Not Bacon, brilliant. Let's talk about some films then. So what have we been watching this week?
So I'm going to start off with something quite light and breezy and easy. A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh,
love
beautiful.
it.
You see, well played, sir. Well played.
Right, so last week was a trying time for me. Not trying, but do you remember when we did zombies and you watched so many zombie movies?
Yeah.
I nearly did double yours.
Yeah, you hammered that, didn't you?
But that's because I'm a huge fan of Al Pacino, love Robert De Niro. You give me an excuse to watch those films, I'm going to watch the hell out of them. So this week I wanted to have a bit of a rewind. I've been to the cinema, so that was a bit disappointing, but I thought Fish Called Wanda, nice reset film.
You can't go wrong, can you?
Can't go wrong. So, directed by Charles Crichton, was his last film before he died. It was written by John Cleese. It's 1988.
I thought it was John Cleese, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful year, 1988.
It sounds like you've got a story about 1988.
Well, he was born that year, wasn't
born, mate.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, I'm old. Right. It stars John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Kline, and Michael Palin.
Yep.
So the basic premise is Kevin Kline, Curtis, and Palin steal a diamond from a jeweler's. A fourth member of the team gets arrested, but he's hidden the diamonds, and the other three don't know where he has hidden them. So John Cleese plays his barrister. He's got to get out. Got to get him off so they can get the diamonds out. Jamie Lee Curtis plays this femme fatale. She's seduced like every member. She's only looking out for herself. So Kevin Kline's madly in love with her. It's ridiculous. He speaks Italian to turn her on and that sort of thing. And she's riding in orgasmicness. It's so over the top yet subtle at the same time. How you cannot talk about this film and not talk about Kevin Kline is Kevin Kline steals the show. Won an Oscar for it, Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He did that. John Cleese was up for Best Original Screenplay. So this film has got recognition. It's fantastic. A lot of people. I mean, have we all seen it?
Yeah.
It is so funny. It's such a British film as well. Like some of the jokes that come across about Kevin Kline used to work for the CIA. He gets agitated by Britishness, which I find quite funny. It's like, because we can understand that. We all understand growing up with that. John Cleese's a bit of an institution in this country as well. I think usually whatever he does, he doesn't even have to be good. Even if it's bad, we quite love him. Fawlty Towers, Monty Python. He's a man that we all adore.
He's untouchable.
He is untouchable.
As a Brit, he's untouchable. We love him. He is part of
He's part of our culture. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just like David Jason. He's not a big screen person, but for the small screen, when he dies, there's even warnings on the street.
Do not say anything bad. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember there's a scene where Michael Palin's being tortured in a comical way. As they tortured. He's got 2 chips up the nose and an apple in his mouth. He gets chips shoved up his nose. I remember as a kid watching it, being like, "Oh, he's just shoved a chip up his nose." But because then he eats the fish, doesn't he? Or he eats the fish out of the fish bowl. It's a great film, that. And there's a John Cleese film that came out at a similar time where he plays a headmaster and he has to get a student
somewhere. I've seen this film. I can't remember what it's called.
I've seen it 100 times and it's on late. And every time it's on, I watch it. And he ends up in a nunnery at one point. The car breaks down, and it's called Clockwork something.
I'm the opposite. I've seen it like twice.
Yeah,
but I can't remember the name of it, and I've always wanted to see it again.
It's always on like BBC Two late night. And I've watched it no end of times. I know every scene for that film. I just don't know what it's bloody called. But it's another really good John Cleese. I think he wrote that one as well.
A second film that I saw, just because they link onto each other, is I saw 1997's Fierce Creatures as well. So it's got a lot of the same cast. So it's got Kevin Kline, Michael Palin, John Cleese. Again, he wrote it. The director had sadly passed by this point, so he wasn't there. Kevin Kline obviously pulls double duty in this one. So the big tycoon Robert Murdoch in real life, he gets the rip out of him on this one. See, I'm trying not to swear.
You're trying. It's good.
Is it because your mum started listening?
No, it's because I want to send them to my granddad. Basically, a huge corporation takes over a zoo. John Cleese's been there like a day before the corporate types come over. Kevin Kline again steals the show. What I like best about this one is they did this out of love for each other. I think they got on quite well. They liked the film. When he was asked if it was a prequel or a sequel, Kevin Kline said, "It's not a prequel or a sequel, it's an equal." I just thought that was nice.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. That should have made the front cover of the DVD.
It should have been, shouldn't it? Yeah.
But again, some laughs. A lot of physical and literal comedy, like a lot of people falling over misunderstandings, which is like the basic of British comedy. Like there's this recurring theme throughout the film that John Cleese having sex with a lot of women, but it's not. It's like he's hiding animals in the bath. But all they hear on the other side of the phone is, "Cindy, get in there quickly. No, don't play with that." And so they think he's having sex. Again, it's stupid, but I really like it.
Yeah.
Critics didn't like it. John Cleese himself wasn't a huge fan. I don't think he disliked it. I think he thought it tarnished the memory of a fish called Wanda.
Right. Okay.
And when he was asked in an interview what any regrets in his life, he said he wouldn't have married his wife and he wouldn't have made Fierce Creatures. And I just didn't think that was as nice because, like I said, I really like Fierce Creatures.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Which wife though? Because hasn't he been married a few times?
I was going to say this is the second one.
Because Connie Booth was married to, wasn't he? Who he co-wrote Fawlty Towers with.
Yeah, I believe so. But also in A Fish Called Wanda, his daughter, he married her as well. I'm sure he did.
Oh, his daughter in the film, not his daughter in real life.
His daughter in real life, yeah. Sorry.
Right.
We need to destroy the British institution.
Say, please don't.
No, but
sorry, you're in my seat. Bring down John Cleese, the untouchable.
But no, so this week I've kept it so light.
That's a good week though, film.
I know.
Yeah, that is really good.
And what I do like is I haven't disliked anything I've seen this week because I'm a big fan of both those films. I haven't seen them in years, so it was nice to rewatch them.
Yeah.
That nostalgic ping.
Good week. Film, Sam?
Yeah, it's okay. Now, this has nothing to do with film. I'm just going to say it very quickly because I've watched a couple of films, but the best thing I watched this week was I was in bed again, couldn't sleep. Family Guy wasn't on because it didn't start for an hour. So I watched this, it was Behind the Sofa with all the people who did Royal Family. Oh my God, it was amazing. I know it's got nothing to do with film. I just want to say, like, if you ever come across it, it is so good.
Was it like a documentary? Or?
But basically, it's just them because...
is them just talking about how they made the series? I like those kind of things.
Because Dave and Denise those were the two guys that wrote it, and they were never. This is the first interview they ever did for it because they don't interview.
So she died.
She's dead now.
So it was a while ago.
This was a while ago. Yeah, it was just one of those things that I just watched, and knowing that she's passed as well, it was just it was really because I absolutely adored.
I feel really bad for not knowing her name. It doesn't make this is going to be one of those things you can't dwell on it, but she was so funny.
She was amazing, and both of them that worked together. Watching them two together, like sat in the seat being interviewed, they were just amazing.
Such a simple show
because they were just best friends. But you'd assume they've been married for years because they just clicked so well. And it was just one of those. I just want to bring it up quickly, just because I love Royal Family, and because you mentioned heritage of
British
and stuff, and that is just British comedy through and through, isn't it? So the complete opposite. I watched Jigsaw.
This is Saw 8?
I think it's 8.
Is this a prequel?
No, it's not.
Is it Is it a reboot of any kind, or is it Saw 8?
It's Saw 8.
Okay. Because I've seen the 8 or 7 Saw movies up until this point, and I was only really impressed by the first one.
Yeah, the first one was brilliant. I actually really liked this one where he gets thrown in the pit of needles.
Second one.
I liked the second one as well.
Second one, though, I guessed everything. They got known for having twists, didn't they?
These are gory horror films. These are top shelf horror films. These are not nice, pleasant.
You watch them. These are these sort of films. It's a bit like Final Destination films. You only watch them purely to say, so how are they going to kill someone this time? Which creative way are they going to kill someone off or do something gory? It's the only reason you kind of watch them. Whereas this, I had quite a lot of hope for when I was at the cinema. I thought, maybe they've sort of gone, right, this is how we're going to end it. This is going to be the big bang. Which it was not.
Does this end it?
I think...
I'm saying the last 6 are supposed to have ended it.
I was going to say, didn't he die in the third film?
He died in the third film,
Yes, he did, yeah. Tobin Bell is in it.
He is in it?
He is in it.
All right.
It's got Matt Passmore. He's... I'm sure he's the guy that's in the new Lethal Weapon TV show.
Did he get kicked off it, though? Because the main guy got kicked off.
Is that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
It's got... Is that Callum Rennie, is it?
I don't know. I'll tell you what.
I'm not going to know any of these actors.
Yeah, and then Hannah Anderson.
What's the premise? I take it it's a bunch of people in gory situations again.
Yeah, so the premise is...
it's a perfect setup.
Yeah, the premise is, once again, it's cops and morticians. They bring this mortician guy who's out with his daughter. Right, he needs to come to work. All these bodies keep showing up in disfigured ways. But whilst this is happening and the morticians are going through, seeing how they died, it is showing you how they die in a Saw way at the same time. So they're all looking at... So you kind of got to watch it as 2 films as once, because what you're watching from our side, from watching the Jigsaw killings, that's one side of the film. The other side of the film is them trying to figure it out. So obviously straight away they go for John Kramer, who's Tobin Bell, the Jigsaw. I'm not going to ruin it. It's not a big twist, but they go to the grave of John Kramer and say, look, we're going to prove to you all that these are not Jigsaw killings.
I've already figured out he's not in there.
They open up, he's not in there, but one of the victims that they're looking for is... You know what? It's not actually a bad film. It's not as gory as some of the others. There isn't... Because I'm not a big fan of the film, like a massive fan of the films, but there's some deaths where I'm like, I like that. That's kind of cool. It's very creative, very inventive. And you've got to give this to horror films, and I know you don't like gore, but sometimes the way these people are killed, you think, how do these people think of this?
I know Aaron asked you if it was a reboot. Is it a soft reboot? So basically they kind of like tie up the end, but have set up like a new like mythos, a new timeline, not timeline type thing. Have they created like another? Is there going to be a Jigsaw 2, for example?
Like they did with all the other films, because there's exactly. Well, he's dead. Who is it? But it's this guy, and he's taking on his.
This is the thing with film companies like Dimension. The film companies, they'll bring it. It's like it'll be like Saw, New Generation.
Yeah,
and it's teens this time, or or they'll do a prequel as to what made him twisted and do all the things, and then they'll do a film where he's a teenager, and they'll just exploit it and saturate
and the thing is they can do. I think with this film is they did quite well in they could do a Jigsaw 2, because they ended it with, well, all right, whoever did it could possibly go on to do more, but it's more of a revenge story. I'm not going to say like too much about it, but it's more of a revenge story.
Okay.
And he kind of left with, I've done what I need to do. And it ends with
that'll be another one.
The good thing, and then it ends with a whole sort of slamming the door, game over, that type of thing. And if they end it with that, I'm not going to say it's a great film, because it's not. But all right, fair enough, cool. You ended it okay, because was it the last one Chester Bennington? Chester Bennington was in,
yeah,
wasn't he?
Yeah, Linkin Park singer who tragically took his own life.
Yeah, he died in a pretty gruesome way, didn't he? Have you seen it?
I've seen.
Let's not go into depth details in case someone doesn't want to listen to those things. But
he goes pretty bad.
I mean, if you are considering watching the Jigsaw movie, you've probably seen the other films prior to this.
There would be no other reason to watch it other than you've seen the Saw films.
I stand by. If you're going to watch one, watch the first one. I think the first one is really
Phenomenal.
good.
Absolutely,
it's got a great twist at the end.
Yeah.
It's very visceral and gory and disturbing. And I'd put the first movie in my top 20 horror films for impact.
Yes.
I think they actually got their audience wrong when they went through that, because I'm with you two. The first one was very good, but it was actually story driven. So you got two complete strangers. As a principle, as a movie, you got two strangers in a room tied up and you've got a series of tasks to finish. That's it. The gore isn't, and if you remember the first one, it's in the traps that Danny Glover's character is. So it's really not that high. Yes, there's a bit with a saw that's quite gruesome, but compared to where the series went, I just think that the makers got too fascinated with the gore aspect, and then the storyline just plummeted. Well,
it becomes shock horror, doesn't it? Because
it's so
you get to a point where storyline doesn't do it anymore, and as Sam's alluding to, you have to think of creative ways to offer a character.
And let's be honest, give Saw that. You've got to, haven't you? Like it's very creative, it's very innovative.
And this is the horror franchise of our generation. You know, Halloween had 8 of them. The Friday the 13th had about 10 of them. You know, the Freddy Kruegers had a good 7 or so of them. It's not unusual for a horror franchise to figure this works. Let's just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And every now and again, they get one right.
And what I did like about this last one, I watched the end of it with my housemate, who we've spoke about many a times, who doesn't always give good recommendations or says something scary and it's not. And it got to the sort of final scene that you normally have, where there's a couple against each other or a few against each other in that final death. And he says, "This is really clever." And I thought, so it's not then. And I went, does this happen? And he sort of looked at me and smiled, and I went, well, there you go. You know, you can figure it out straight away. But I was actually quite clever. Because what I thought was going to happen happened. But
did it make you feel clever? Because you've got it.
No, because I didn't get exactly what he was getting at. So
okay, stop. We're talking in so much code, no one knows what we're talking.
No, I know. But what I said was going to happen happened. I am talking code now.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a little bit more storyline to it that I never saw coming. Yeah, I didn't say I liked it. I wouldn't say I liked it.
I would put money on it that the good guys don't win at the end of that film, because they have it in any of them.
Well, that's the whole point of Saw.
Yeah,
exactly. The people
it'll
playing
end,
this game.
It'll end, and you think it's all fine, but actually, the final twist is that nothing's fine. And like you say,
this one didn't end.
Normally ends with someone slamming the door and saying "Game over."
Well, that's exactly how it ended.
Just quickly, you mentioned Final Destination. Mm-hmm. The first Final Destination was written as a X-Files episode.
Was it really?
Yeah, if you listen to the script, the two cops that are interviewing the main guy who they think is killing people through these natural causes, well, not natural causes, but, you know, making a car hit someone, their dialogue, you can tell, is written for Mulder and Scully.
That's nice.
And they read the script and turned it into a movie. And the first one, you can really tell it's actually written for an X-Files movie, because you can tell the lines that Mulder and Scully were supposed to say.
Oh, right.
And that's a good one as well. The first one was all right, and then it's another
again, because they start with storyline, and they teased you with the death of the other characters, didn't they? And it got ridiculous to the point where I remember one, just quickly, she's getting her hair cut, and everything around is like exploding and stuff. Like the chandelier comes down and hits her, but it doesn't kill her. And then she goes outside, and a pebble's been caught in a lawnmower, and it zooms off and smashes her in the face. And you just think, wow, that was a lot of effort for nothing.
It could happen though.
But yeah, that's them films, isn't it? They're a bit like that, aren't they? Anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple more. Do you want to give one for?
You can go again if you want.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I watched 2 more. One of them was a documentary. I'll make some documentary. I watched a documentary called Ice Guardians. It's actually the second time I've seen it. It's an ice hockey documentary. It's about the enforcer role. So it's got...
the enforcers, just quickly, are the people who are designed to break up plays. So they're the hard-hitting...
They're not there to play ice hockey. They're there to fight. So it's all centered around the fighting...
This is your goon character.
The goon character, yeah. So Jay Baruchel, is it? The guy that's in Goon.
No, I know who you mean.
He's in
big ice hockey fan.
Yeah, massive fan. He does a lot of talking in it. There's a few ice hockey experts. There's a guy that has an internet site who is just all about fights and stuff. But it's really clever because it's all about, half of it's people that don't believe in fighting in ice hockey. The other half is people that do believe in fighting in ice hockey.
So I've got a question. Is it about like the injuries? Like concussions are a big thing in American sport at the minute. Does that come into it?
This is why I would definitely, if you're a sports fan, you're an ice hockey fan, or even if you're not, I would say give it a watch, because it goes chapter to chapter. Every single chapter is something new. So it starts really clever, and it teaches you about the whole role of the enforcer and how it's really hard to get, because most of these people aren't great ice hockey players.
That's not why they're brought in, though, is it?
Yeah.
No, they're brought in to like hit the fight. That's what I mean.
Yeah. So it's like they're talking about, I was out there every game fighting anyone I could just to be known. This guy's meant to be a pretty hard guy. His name's Quiet. I'm going to go out there and sort of hit him, and we're going to fight. And it brings it up in a sort of bad light. But then it starts explaining why fighting in ice hockey makes the game and how it wouldn't work without it. And so you sort of go along the lines of, oh, actually, yeah, it makes sense. Then they start bringing the injuries, and then there's a certain time where I think 3 ice hockey players died in a year. And, so straight away, then you turned immediately and you go, right, fighting's bad. But then they go the other way and they're like, well, they didn't die from fighting.
Well, it does what a good documentary should. It shows you both sides of the story and makes you decide.
Decide itself.
Yeah.
And
if it just showed you one side of the story, then it's
not really a documentary.
It wouldn't be fair, would it? Yeah.
No, not at all. And
don't get me wrong, there are documentaries out there that are one side that I quite like Bonnie for Columbine. You never see the pro-gun argument, but I really like
Super Size Me. They don't show you the benefits of fast food, but yeah,
exactly. And there's it shows a lot of ice hockey games, and it's very good actually, because it's got Kevin Westgarth in it, who actually plays for an English team now. Edinburgh or Glasgow, I can't remember. This will mean nothing to you. You're not an ice hockey fan, but it's got Wendell Clark, Dave.
I love how you say that like you two are experts.
Well, no, I'm not.
I've been to 2 games.
I know you're not interested, but this is the second time I've watched that and I've done a lot of research into it.
I like ice hockey. I watch ice hockey, but yeah.
So yeah, I know there's not much to talk about. I just really enjoyed it. I think if you're into sport or if you're just slightly interested into it, give it a watch. It does give you a great insight into the locker rooms, into the. It does go quite well into the psychological side of it, how it how these players feel. They go home after having a fight, sit with the wives, have dinner, knowing tomorrow I might have to go out there and fight the biggest dude there is in the NHL or whatever. It's just a really good documentary about sport. So
I've got a question. Putting you on the spot: is fighting necessary in hockey?
Personally, yes, I think so.
Good. Matt closed.
Yes, but then again, I'm an idiot. So please don't take my word for it. I don't believe in the fact that it sells tickets. I just think it works well. So yeah, I've got another one.
Keep going.
Okay, and the last one I watched was Meet the Blacks. Have either of you watched or heard of this?
I hadn't even heard of this until you mentioned it.
I saw it, and I believe I've seen it advertised. What I should say, I haven't seen it. My understanding is it's The Purge, but with a black family. How close am I?
Pretty much, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's a Mike Epps film. It was okay. I'm not gonna go straight into it, but it's brilliant. It was terrible or whatever. It was okay. It was just a middle of the road good comedy. So basically, it's just about the black family. A guy called Carl Black comes into a load of money by stealing a load of money from a drug dealer who's been arrested. Moves from Chicago to Beverly Hills, get this big mansion, and it starts basically them moving in. It's quite funny. Because they move into a white neighborhood. There's a lot of you shouldn't be here because you're black type comedy to start off with, which actually is really funny. The very first scene has got Snoop Dogg as a white guy. They whited Snoop Dogg up.
I'll watch it just for that.
Hilarious. The first scene is talking about the purge and why the purge is necessary, but Snoop Dogg does it. But he's actually speaking very upscale, but the sort of stuff he would say is all written down the side. It's like,
oh, I know what you mean.
So now you need to go fuck shit up and stuff like that is all written next to it.
This is very literal comedy then.
It's not very literal, but yes, it's down the sort of scary movie lines, that sort of thing. So they go there and they think because they have this big house that the purge doesn't come to them, and it just turns out that
they get hunted by everyone.
American white people like to hunt and they don't like black people is basically the old premise of the film.
So another documentary then. Political joke there.
But it's quite funny because a lot of it, like they make a big thing about the purge isn't just to go and kill people. It's about killing people that wrong you. And the president in it, who is saying the annual purge is coming, is a Mexican guy called Obama, and he's absolutely hilarious in it when he does all his public service announcements. But there's just character after character after character, and it's always stuff like Mike Tyson plays a clown who goes to kill him because Mike Epps, Carl Black, had paid for the silver clown package and never paid him. And you've just got Mike Tyson dressed as a clown with the worst hair ever trying to stab him. It's a brilliant scene. It's so funny.
I don't know. It sounds like it's Southwest to me. It's bordering the Elephant Graveyard.
It's no way a good film. 90% of the film is not good. But it's just some scenes where you watch it, or there's some things that they say that you do just laugh at. It's one of those films that you could put on a Sunday evening, just chilling, and there's some bits that will just make you laugh. I enjoyed it.
How quick are the jokes? For example, it sounds to me it's just like a numbed down version, like another little Airplane.
Yes,
Airplane.
absolutely.
The jokes that were constant. That's
Rapid.
joke. I mean, don't go. I love Airplane.
It's some of the best, in my eyes. It's some of the best comedy there is.
Is it that quick?
No.
Is it that literal?
Some
parts of it. It sounds like a scary movie to me.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's not as literal as that, but there's a lot of literal jokes, but it's just not as quick. There's just jokes that fly by that if you don't listen, you won't hear. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If it was the black version of Airplane, you can't beat that film.
That is true.
It's out of this world, isn't it? That Hot Shots,
Wrongfully Accused.
Wrongfully Accused. Hot Shots as well. My friend
Part
from
Two
work
was my favourite, to be fair.
Part Two, it's right. Another topic for another time. It's arguably got my best cameo of any film in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen, yeah.
The parody kind of films, I haven't watched one in ages. I don't really tend to go to.
I think the first Scary Movie was a good idea.
Yeah, the first.
And I think the Wayne brothers did it great, but then Meet the Spartans.
Yeah, there are some good ones, but then they
Meet the Spartans were terrible.
No, but like Scary Movie, Wrongfully Accused, Naked Gun. There are good ones out there.
The original ones, anything with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah,
I do think it's changed now though. It's I think it's something to do with humanity or something. How we've grown, but the ones you're talking about are so funny. You can't talk about them. There's so many jokes like Airplane. Wrongfully Accused, like you said, Spy Hard. I was always a big fan of Spy Hard.
Yeah. So it's been ages since I watched a parody, but I'll keep an eye out for that. It's definitely a Sunday afternoon film.
Yeah, it's cool. I think a lot of these parody films these days they're just made. The thing is, if there's an audience for a film, there's an audience for a parody. Because it's never going to be great. I've seen Meet the Spartans, whatever it was called, and them type of films. They weren't good and never recommend them to anyone, but there's always at least 5 or 6 laughs.
Yeah, there's always
there's
a group of people that would love that film. And
Absolutely.
someone somewhere has got a Facebook status saying that it's their favourite film.
Yeah, so there you go. I've not seen a lot of great films. To be fair, the documentary was the best in my eyes. But I was eating Lucky Charms whilst eating it as well.
Well, there you go. That's a good day. Last week, this is a film I watched last week, but we were doing the Robert De Niro and Al Pacino one, so it didn't seem fitting to bring it up. But I watched the Christopher Robin film, the Walt Disney one. Which is an aged Christopher Robin who reunited with Winnie the Pooh and his friends when he's kind of forgotten what it is like to be a child and to play and to imagine and to have all those things. And Winnie the Pooh comes back to find him because he's lost his friends in 100 Acre Woods. I'm not going to go into too much of it. That
sounds brilliant.
That is literally the storyline. And a lot of it is Ewan McGregor fighting with being an adult. In the sense that he's forgotten what it's like to be younger, and he's now got a young family, and it's this it's a real. I mean, this is like being slapped 5 times by Disney. It's got every message in it that you need. About family, love, being a child, playing. It's just full of that kind of stuff. But it is lovely. It's a really good film.
I would think he's the perfect choice, Ian McKellen, for that role.
Ian McKellen.
Ewan
McGregor. Although, if they played an old man version.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor does that thing that he does in films like...
Be perfect.
Like in Big Fish, where he's a bit too joyful. He is a bit like that halfway through it. He does go a bit animated, and he goes to Disney... Ewan McGregor.
He's his smile, isn't it? He's so kind of weird.
Yeah, and everything's wonderful, Pooh. And it's like, he does have that kind of projection halfway through the film.
But you love it.
I loved it. It was really good, because what was really interesting I didn't watch that growing up, but my younger sisters did. So there's scenes in it where the older Christopher Robin goes back to 100 Acre Woods and Winnie the Pooh's taking him around and he's saying things like, you've forgotten all about... I forgot what you call them now. The bad guys in it, the elephants that fly and stuff like. And I was like,
oh, you mean the flying elephants?
And I was like, I've forgotten about them as well. And I found I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. But what was really obvious in it is that when growing up, I never picked up on that A. Milne, the writer of them, all the characters in Winnie the Pooh are projections of mental health issues.
Oh right, okay.
And in the film, that is well obvious.
I did know about that.
So, so Winnie, for example, Eeyore is depression, and you got Tigger's OCD and ADHD, and so it's all those. God, you
What's
can tell.
Piglet?
I had a nervousness or something like that.
Oh, that would make sense.
Timidness, that kind of thing. But they've all. I won't give it justice because I haven't got the list in front of me. But they all represent a mental health condition, and all the way through it is that Eeyore basically. He's nearly suicidal in it. He's really hard to kind of watch his scenes. It's all doom and gloom. But it's a wonderful film. What I really liked about it is the toys, the animation of the toys in it. They look like 1940s toys.
Oh, right.
They look really authentic and really aged. Then Winnie the Pooh looks great. And I'm calling it now. If Winnie the Pooh doesn't get Best Supporting Oscar, because his comedy in it is absolutely genius.
Oh, really?
He's got some great lines in it. It's just
who played Winnie the Pooh?
The original voice actor.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
What was it most original cast then?
There's many that are still around. Yeah, they got back together, but they got people in it like Toby Jones is in it. He plays the owl. So there are a few modern day casts in there.
Is the owl a bad guy in this film?
No. no.
I just figured Toby Jones.
No, it's the owl. His house always gets blown over by the wind.
I know, but Toby Jones.
It's just a heartwarming film. It's really nice, but it is Disney all the way through it. It's morals about being a family and that kind of stuff.
Can I ask you an honest question? Would you have seen it? Would you have been more inclined to not see it if it wasn't Ewan McGregor?
Ewan McGregor was a massive selling point for me to go watch
Sir Ian McGregor.
So yeah, Ian McGregor.
I was going to say because I know. We're all massive fans of his, but yeah.
Oh, he's proper Bay.
Oh, full Bay.
And then the only other film that I've watched is Welcome to the Jungle 2 nights ago, the Jumanji sequel.
Yeah, I'm so dead. I was going to watch that just so we had that to talk about. But.
Yeah, it's a weird one. So 1996 gave us Robin Williams' Jumanji, which was arguably a brilliant film. Again, hated by critics at the time, not really well received.
It was Bay again.
It was a great film.
I think Jumanji is one of my favourite films growing up. It's like a childhood film, yeah.
Jumanji, a board game that comes to life as you play it. Robin Williams' character was sucked into the game. Years later, comes back out. And unfortunately, the game, every time you roll the dice, something dangerous happens in terms of animals or wildlife or the jungle coming to life. What happens now is we're in modern day. And the board game has turned into a video game through a scene at the beginning where you see it manifest itself into because it realizes that people don't play board games anymore and it turns to a video game. 4 people get given detention on a Friday evening where they have to clean out the basement of the school. And while they're doing it, they find the video game in there. And to distract them from detention, they start to play it. This is a mismatch of characters put together. So you've got the jock, you've got the kind of school guy, you've got the it girl, and you've got the shy girl. So these people would not normally hang out together. Thrown into the game. So they all create avatars. So when they go into the game, when they get sucked into Jumanji,
is that why you slide the rock and...
Yeah.
So that makes sense now.
So they all at the beginning choose what character they want to play. And when they press start, they get sucked in, not knowing that the avatar they chose is actually who they're going to be inside the game. So yeah, the Rock all of a sudden is one of the characters. Kevin Smith, Karen Gillian, who's brilliant, this Scottish lady who's in The Circle. And it was Silver Week. Sam's just yawning away.
Sorry.
She's becoming quite a big fan. She plays...
She's great.
She's in the Avengers. She plays Nebula.
Yes.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, she's I think she got a kickstart on Doctor Who. She was Matt Smith's
she was,
companion.
yeah.
Right, she's turned into like a big Hollywood Scarlet. She's very good.
And arguably the best character in it, Jack Black. So when I said
is he really that good in it?
Yeah, so he's good in it because the funniest part of the film is the avatars are so different to the characters. So the geeky lad, the school guy, the homework guy, becomes the Rock. So he's got these muscles all of a sudden, and he's 6'5" or whatever he is. There's one point where he's looking on a cliff edge, and they're all like, "Look at him! Look at his piercing good looks." And when the camera goes to him, he's going, "Don't cry, don't cry." So it's just really good. And the jock, the big 6 foot, NFL player, the school American football player who gets sucked in, turns into Kevin Hart. And so all these jokes are like, "Where's the missing 2 foot?" Because Kevin Hart's really small. Jack Black is the the It Girl.
I was going to say,
And that is his performance in that, portraying a 16-year-old teen, is brilliant.
Really?
He steals it. It's like this one scene where where she comes in and she doesn't realize obviously she's now in Jack Black's body, and he runs towards the lake, and they're like, don't look at it, and he looks in the reflection. He's like, I'm a 40-year-old middle-aged man, that kind of thing. And his comedy steals the show, and then it just becomes a bit of a kind of play by numbers. You've got some action scenes, you've got some questionable CGI. Nick Jonas pops up as an airplane pilot, obviously, and it just becomes they have to essentially get this jewel at the beginning of the film. When they go in the game, they get told they've got to take a jewel to the Jaguar statue, put it in, shout Jumanji, they can get out. But on the way, there's all this adventure and stuff. What's really interesting is that Rhys Darby's in it for Flight of the Conchords. Yep. To play Murray, the manager.
I like him in pretty much everything.
Yeah,
he does.
Brilliant, isn't
he has a real good role in it where he plays he plays like a tour guide who's in the game, but obviously has a role in a script to play. So he's like, oh, welcome to Jumanji. When they ask him a question, he's like, welcome to Jumanji. And they're like, oh, he's part of the game. And so they inflict all of that elements to it. The game has a certain path you have to follow. And you can't just go off and do something that, else.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And they all have free lives in it as well. And that plays a big part in it. So they have free lives so that they can sacrifice themselves, or they all have a weakness. Like Kevin Hart's character is essentially the mule. He has to carry Dwayne's kind of ammo and gear and stuff like that. And so it's those bits that made it enjoyable. It's the interaction between the four main actors in there and their representation as being avatars of their other selves. That's the entertaining bit. The whole Jumanji part of it is, to me, it could have been any film with that storyline.
You could have just played Jumanji with anything.
And it could have been a reboot. It could have, for me, this is one of the rare times where actually leave 1996's one alone, the board game version. Just have this as a reboot for a modern day version. Just have it as it's Jumanji is a cartridge game, an Atari game that some kids find in the player, and it's call it Jumanji, but it's the fact that it follows straight on. So they find the board game where you're like, oh, did you really have to link it to?
Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah, they find the board game which was lost at the end of the first film.
Am I right in thinking this was made after Robin Williams had died?
Oh yeah, and in it they mention his characters. His character was called Alan Parrish.
Yeah.
So in the Jumanji world, there's a building, and they're like, oh, Alan Parrish built it, which is obviously Robin Williams' character who was there for 20 years.
Because he was there for so long.
Yeah, he was trapped there, wasn't he? So it's interesting. I would have preferred it to be a reboot, disconnect itself from the original, make it its own thing, make it attractive to a new audience, let it be its own thing, and I would have enjoyed it a bit more. I mean, it's middle of the road stuff. I thought it was quite funny. I put it on Facebook. 4 or 5 people got back saying same thing. It was not a touch on the original, but it was funny enough to watch it. So it's just a good film. It's just an interesting film to watch.
Do you know what, mate? Colour me interested.
Oh, there you go.
So
I do think I'm going to see.
I was just say that sounded pretty good to me. I would watch it.
I just don't think.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just saying, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to change the way we watch movies and everything, but I do think it might be worth a watch.
Yeah,
and that sort of
thing.
thing.
And if you like the Kevin Smith, Kevin Hart, and the Rock kind of films together, it's definitely up your street.
No, I did watch.
Jack Black's worth a win recently as well, because he's done a few dodgy, questionable films, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's nice to see him kind of coming back into being on form. With this film, it's a Jack Black film for me.
I think it's one of those films that if you're our age, you can't not watch it, because if you're our age, then you've seen. Obviously, we're all 62-year-old men. So we've all seen.
You need to
Jumanji, and it is part of our childhood, isn't it? So you kind of have to go away and see this.
The only way that's allowed to is if you bring yourself a blocker. Like you find yourself a kid and take the kid with you to the cinema. Otherwise, you're just a bloke watching a kid's film.
Well, this is why you wait for it to come on Now TV, mate.
I wouldn't have been gutted if I went to cinemas to watch it.
No,
I don't think I would have. I remember I would want to watch Baywatch, and I left that thinking, God, that was a waste of 2 hours.
I remember you telling me, but I actually can't wait. That's just come out. I can't wait to see
that for me was the complete other end of the spectrum. There's something about the Rock films, though, Dwayne the Rock Johnson films, where the turnaround's so quick. He films them because I follow on Instagram, and you think, just spend a bit longer in post-production, instead of trying to get these films out so quickly and churning them out. Because there are some dodgy scenes in the CGI bit work in Jumanji where you're like, could have been avoided.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
I understand what you mean. I'm right in thinking he's the biggest technically he's the biggest Hollywood star at the moment, isn't he?
Probably, yeah.
Just think he does too much. He just needs to, and this isn't a dig at him. I haven't seen any films that I really hated or anything, but he's in TV series. It was called
He's not going to slow down.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah.
I know, but what I'm saying is he's just everywhere.
He's in Jungle Cruise as well next year, which is, he's in there with Emily Blunt, who's going to be Mary Poppins. So again, she's now in with Disney. So her and Jack Whitehall, the British comedian's in it as well.
I did hear about that.
Which is another Disney spin-off from a ride. So Pirates of the Caribbean was a fairground ride that turned into a film.
Then Haunted Mansion was one with Eddie Murphy, wasn't it?
Yeah, now this is
this
is the new one, Jungle Cruise, where The Rock looks like a kind of Popeye character. Awesome. That's films for this week. Let's finish there because we want to keep this close to an hour. We're already at 55 minutes, and I've still got a bit of a game to play.
Got a game.
So.
I'm looking forward to this.
Again, frequent listeners to the show will notice that every now and again I like to bring into the discussion a film that I've created. And this week, whilst doing my research, I've come across films that actually exist that you could question I might have made up. So the game is very, very simple. The game is very, very simple. I've created 10. There's 10 scenarios here. All you have to do is to answer me which one did I make up and obviously the other 9 are real films. Okay? Dead simple. Now, I've given you a list, a sheet here with 10 answers on it. The titles of the films down the left-hand side, just for you two in the room, they're not the names. They're just prompts so that when you think back, you know which one they were. Right. So I've given you a sheet with 10 down the side. I just want you to put a big tick in the box that you think is the film I made up. Which one is the Aaron film out of all these? I have to read out to you 10 scripts, 10 ideas. 9 of these exist. That's the worrying thing. 9 of these exist.
Okay.
In some of them, they're only a sentence long. Others, I've gone into a load of detail to try and throw you off. Sometimes I've thrown an actor's name in there. Again, just think of it as that there's potentially a red herring in sense of...
So there's only one that you made up then?
Only one of these is my idea. The other 9, shockingly, are real. And I've tried to find 9 really, really bizarre films to do.
Really?
Yeah. So... we're going to go for the first one then.
This is what you do around eating soup out of a dog bone.
Yeah. Here's the first one.
Sorry. Right, I'm ready.
Not only is Elvis still alive, played by Bruce Campbell, but so is JFK. James, this could be a long time. You've got to stop laughing at it. Elvis is alive, played by Bruce Campbell. So is JFK. JFK claims he's been patched up and dyed black after an assassination attempt on him. The pair are now residents in a Texas nursing home when a stolen Egyptian mummy is accidentally unleashed on the community. The pair must team up to take out the mummy using an electric wheelchair. That's film 1. Now, if you think I made that up...
I've seen that film.
If you think I've made that... Well, I'll give you a bonus. If you can name any of these films, if you think they're real and you can tell me the title of them, I'll give you the win straight away. All right? So if you knew what that was called, you win. Next one. 2 low-ranking insurance company workers who are invited to party at the home of their boss get there to discover that the boss is dead. To prevent the other guests from finding out, they spend the whole weekend...
It's weekend at Bernie's.
Well done. All right, I'll take that back. I'll take that back. So that was... I was just about to say that might be the only one you get, but if I give it away. Okay, so obviously that one I didn't make up. But Sam, if you haven't seen that, they parade his body around for a whole weekend, convincing people that he's still alive.
Right, okay.
It's a great film.
Yeah, so giveaway, that's not mine. So it's down to 8. So the next one. Chevy Chase and Demi Moore play flirting neighbours on a short road trip together. While passing through Pennsylvania, Chase is pulled over for a minor traffic violation by a cop, played by John Candy. The two are forced to appear in front of a local magistrate in front of a penis-nosed old man played by Dan Aykroyd. Chase and Moore are given the death penalty for failing to make a complete stop at the sign. They need to escape the judge's mansion, which is booby-trapped by a machine called the Bone Stripper.
Okay.
Next one. When they're not hanging 10 on some gnarly waves... 2 teenage brothers from Los Angeles, one being Rob Schneider, defend an ancient kingdom against an evil ruler named Colonel Chi, played by Liam Neeson. The catchphrase, the movie uses the catchphrase, cowabunga bullshit.
The worst thing is that is something that you would write, but I also believe it's a real film.
Next one. A fleeing, bitten Andrew is hit by a car and killed. As his soul leaves the body, he witnesses his corpse rise and transform into a zombie. Before Andrew's soul can depart, he needs to teach his former self how to be a zombie, including how to eat people and not dogs. Next one.
Yeah.
Humanoid amphibians capture sexy, fertile women in hopes of reproducing in an infertile world. Do you want that one again? Because that was a short one.
Yeah, say again.
Humanoid amphibians capture sexy, fertile women in the hopes of reproducing in an infertile world. That's it.
That's on Pornhub, isn't it? That one.
No, because
I've definitely seen it. I don't know what it's called.
They're amphibians. They're frogs. Next film. An obsessive surgeon kidnaps a beautiful female car crash victim, amputates all of her limbs, and makes her fall in love with him.
The misery opposite.
Amputates all her limbs. Every one of them. Next one. In Minnesota, high school friends Larry, Evan, Michael, and Frank meet annually for a night of partying and gambling. Things go sour when high school bully Grant Herring arrives, uninvited to the annual liquor up front and poker in the rear tournament.
Okay.
Next one. The only way a oh god, going to hell. The only way a spoilt white kid can get into Harvard is if he paints his skin black and poses as a brother, which unfortunately he does. Next one. Get ready for this one. There's so much in this. Just bear with it. A wrecking ball destroying an abandoned building knocks over a lamp onto a boombox. A sleeping genie is awoken and takes up residence inside the boombox, which is later found by a young boy. The 7-foot genie offers the boy 3 wishes, one of which is to track down his long-lost father. The father turns out to be a record executive who is being bullied by a nightclub owner. Kazam, the genie, played by Shaquille O'Neal, ends up getting a record deal as a rapper after the bully turns into a basketball and he slam dunks him into a garbage bin.
It's called Shazam, isn't it?
It's called Shazam. I've seen it.
Yeah, I was going to say. I've not seen it, but I know that one.
So out of that, then there's 7, because you got that Shazam is a real film made in 1996. And my worrying fact underneath that is Shazam made $20 million. Yeah, so that's worrying. And obviously one of them was Weekend at Bernie's. So there are 8 other potentials and there's a red herring in there.
I'll go first. I'm going for the zombies one. I don't think that one's real.
I'm going to go with the frog one. The amphibious humans.
James, why that one?
Because I don't understand how that film would work. I don't understand how he would train himself to not eat dogs. How would that film go? Isn't my punishment that if I'm wrong, I have to watch this film?
No. That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I went for the frog spawn one.
Frog spawn one. Okay, so let me tell you this. Hell Comes to Frogtown was a real film in which humanoid amphibians capture sexy, fertile women in the hopes of reproduction in a fertile world. I do want to bring your attention back, though, to in Minnesota, high school friends Larry, Evan, Michael, and Frank meet annually for a night of partying and gambling. Things go sour when high school bully Grant Herring arrives uninvited to the annual liquor up front and poker in the rear tournament.
He was started before he said herring. When he read it out, he had to stop and go, Grant Herring. Herring. I thought that was the herring was him promoting herring. What the hell was that zombie doing? Weirdest things thing.
I wouldn't mind, but I'll put a fucking dot next to that one as well. Look, there's the dot saying it's probably that one.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's
So both of us lost.
Yeah, no one got it right, did they?
That's fine, as long as James didn't win.
Do you know what? When I put Weekend at Bernie's in there, I did think I thought you were going to get it, and I was trying my hardest to take out anything that anyone would know. So I took out the actors' names, the year, everything like that.
Technically, I didn't win because he got Shazam before me, so he drew and you won. So Aaron won the game.
Well, there's
damn it, not again.
Interesting ones. The first one, that's worth a watch. Bubba Hotep, it's called. Elvis, played by Bruce Campbell, is still alive, and JFK is now black after he died. And the pair of them have to take on an Egyptian mummy.
I'd like to point out, the third one about Dan Aykroyd. I've seen that film, but I can't remember what it's called. It's awful.
Nothing but trouble. It's Dan Aykroyd's writing debut and directing debut. Sorry,
he got absolutely trashed. Yeah. I have seen that.
Yeah, Surf Ninjas, My Zombie and Me. Boxing Helena was the film where an obsessive surgeon kidnaps a beautiful female car crash victim, amputates all her limbs, and makes him fall in love with her. The false one I ended up calling Grant Herring. Soul Man, 1986. When a sport white kid gets the only way a sport white kid can get into Harvard is if he paints his skin black and poses as a brother. That is the tagline to the film, along with which unfortunately he does. And then the last one, Kazam, is the final film with Shaquille O'Neal.
The Shackmeister.
So you win the last donut again?
No, we'll call that one an even draw across all platforms.
Sweet.
That's good.
Still no victory.
Well, it's worrying that some of them films exist, really.
Yeah, it is.
Although, you know what? If they exist, mate, there's no reason why we can't get funding and start production on the Bone Phone.
To be fair, yeah. I reckon we should do a podcast like a few months down the line where we just go away and watch all of these films and review them all. We put them all on...
we should then make Grant Herring.
Yeah. we should put them all somewhere on the road, not bacon.
Yes, Saran.
I know where they're all going.
I know where they're all going. Right, guys, that's our episode coming in at 1 hour and 6 minutes. How do we feel about that one, James?
I feel good. It makes me feel warm inside.
We need to end each and every episode as we always do, putting films into the vault first and foremost. This is where we immortalise great films. The rule is we must all have seen the film. Not one of us can put it in. It has to be a joint decision, and it has to be films that we have discussed in this podcast. Ooh. Sam's got his hands up, ready to go.
Airplane.
Do you know what? That's on my list as well. I wrote it down whilst we were talking Airplane.
Airplane, yeah. The innocent comedy's got to go in there, yeah.
Beautiful.
Lovely comedy film.
A Fish Called Wonder.
And I'd put A Fish Called Wonder in. Again, it's probably got potential for it to come out at some point.
Exactly.
But for now, we need to get this vault filled up. So 2 films going in this week. I like Christopher Robin and I like the Jumanji film, but they're not going in the vault. No.
There is something I would like to ask Sam, though, because I was looking at the Road Not Bacon.
Yeah.
And there's 2 films from 2 opposite sides here. Have you seen Arrival?
No, I haven't.
Have you seen Nocturnal Animals?
No, I haven't.
And have you seen Adaptation?
Oh, no.
Nicolas Cage film?
Yeah, I love that film. Yeah. But I know that you've seen Raising Arizona, but we'll talk about that at
as well. We'll do that later.
Let's watch that later on. The opposite to the vault, where we immortalise films, is Sykes Pit, which is from Star Wars, if anyone's a keen viewer. That's where Boba Fett meets his fates in the desert. This is a place where we throw films that we just don't like. They're films that just need to go in there and get gone, essentially. Anything we talked about this week that we want to throw in there?
No, but I've got a potential 9 films that might go in there. Not Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah. Oh, actually, do you know what? Have you seen Shazam? Because I've seen Shazam. I'd throw that in there.
I haven't seen it. I'm not watching it.
Kazam, sorry. I said it wrong.
And
no, I haven't got any for the next 2.
Finally, Sam's Hole, which is where we put the film in there and we won't ever talk about it again.
No,
there's not been anything that bad this week. That's just fine. Sam's Hole stays untouched this week.
Forever guarded.
This is the first week in 30 years it's been untouched.
So other than that, we've got to delve deep into my box. There's a segue.
Ooh.
So I have a cinema collection box where kind of every film ticket that I collect, I've kept in this box. Each week, Sam puts his hand in, pulls one out. We try and talk about it if we can remember anything about it. And who knows, it might make the vault, the box, or Snipes Pit. So, Sam, what have you pulled out?
So this week, my friends, I know me and James haven't seen it. So it's all on you, baby.
Well, I have seen it because you got the ticket.
Yeah, apparently so. Is that perfect? Straight now. So, Aaron, on the 5th of the 6th of the 12th, Screen 8, row K, seat 17, that's 1-7, you went to go see Snow White and the Huntsman.
I did. I hold my hands up and say I did. Actually, to be fair, I can't really remember a lot about it. Figgy Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, off the back of the 4 movies when it became the it thing around town. Snow White and the Huntsman, really weird when you start doing a film like Snow White and actually it's about the secondary character of the Huntsman, who I can't really remember from the Snow White.
He shows up at the end and kills the thing, doesn't
he?
Is this the one with Charlize Theron in it?
Yes, so she plays the Wicked Witch.
I've heard she played pretty good.
Or the stepmom, what is it? The Queen Mother?
I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember. I know there was 2 of them.
She plays the Cersei Lannister character.
I heard she was good in it.
Yeah, she was fine. And she came back for the sequel because they did do one after that. And I think Kristen Stewart's in it as well. Kristen Stewart's in it.
Oh, yeah.
From Twilight?
From Twilight,
I was going to say was a Twilight girl.
Yeah, she was in it as well. I think it did have a bit of an ensemble cast as well in terms of
I'm pretty sure I've either seen it or seen half of it.
There's a film that came out at the same time. There was Snow White and the Huntsman and there was another Snow White themed film that came out as well.
Was it brother and sister one?
Was it called Mirror Mirror?
No, was it the one... it's Hawkeye from Avengers.
Jeremy Renner.
It was Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, so that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, right.
I'm talking about the Snow White film. So there's Mirror Mirror with Julia Roberts where she played the evil stepmother.
Sorry, I thought they came out at the same time.
No, yeah. So so they both had a set of 8 or 9 dwarfs. How many dwarfs are there? 7? 7 dwarfs.
Yeah.
So they both had that because I think this one had what's his name who played Lovejoy? Ian McShane.
Ian McShane's
one of
guy.
Yeah, he's one of the dwarves.
Oh, I have seen this
As
film,
is Nick Frost.
That's right. I have
Simon
seen this
Pegg's
film.
buddy.
Yeah.
And there's a few others that they miniaturized.
They were actually really good, weren't they?
Yeah, so those scenes are pretty good. But on the whole, I can't really remember anything about it. I remember it being one of them kind of action, adventure, unnecessary films that came out around that time.
Just shovel popcorn in your mouth. And then
it was a film for the sake of a film.
Yeah. So it's not going in the vault. It's not going in the pit or anything like that. It was just a film. It was just a
film to make. So if I remember right, there wasn't much that come out around that time either, was there?
Well, it's just for Christmas. So you're just ahead of the Oscar kind of films that were coming out that year. And I mean, look at this. I mean, it was 5:45 on a day. I couldn't have had much to do. Paid £9.10 for the ticket. Odin, you can invoice me for that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our show for this week. That is coming in at 1 hour and 11 minutes. That's a good show.
Not bad. That's a good amount of time, my friend.
We've got some plans in the works for future coming episodes. There's a trailer episode that we're looking at. And I know that someone wrote in to say that we should do an episode on films what are great with a terrible ending, which again is probably a good conversation piece. So we can start saying actually how should it have ended. So that's another piece to look at.
We've just finished our first competition.
Yes, we did.
We have had a bit of a chat. The first one went really well, so thanks to everyone for getting involved. We are going to do a few more every sort of 5-6 episodes. We're going to try and give something to you guys as a little gift, or you guys are listening to us, and you're the reason why we do this. So yeah, thank you very much for your support.
Otherwise, it would just be us three getting together and drinking beer and talking films,
which we'll still do. I love beer and talking.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Yes.